Wherever there are rivalries, there are double agents. These rivalries can be between corporate houses, drug cartels, countries, or even civilizations. For one side, double agents become heroes, but for the other side they are the worst type of traitors. Rats. Compared to any other job, double agents work in the most dangerous circumstances. This danger is what makes this job so thrilling, and so high-paying. Yet not every double agent is after money. There are many who do it for the love of their country, or ideological reasons. The character of a double agent is so exciting that it is often used in literature. However, in literature, money does not drive the character. Instead, it's typically passion. One of the most brilliant double agent characters from modern literature is Severus Snape of the Harry Potter series. Author J.K. Rowling portrayed the perfect double agent. He remains in high risk and is often mistrusted. He's lonely, and he's devoted. He's cunning, and he is complicated. But above all else, he gets the job done. Almost all brilliant double agents have these characteristics in common. The history of double agents goes all the way back to ancient China, but their use rose to its highest level during World War II and the subsequent Cold War. Even today, double agents are playing a vital role in the war against terror, often trained by the CIA. Juan Pujol Garcia. The only person in history to receive the highest civil military awards from both the Nazis and British. He was one of the history's most legendary spies, and one of the greatest con artists that ever walked the earth. He was Juan Pujol Garcia, codenamed Garbo. Unlike most fictional heroes who are born great, Garcia had a very humble beginning. By the age of 32, the Spaniard had failed in almost all walks of life, studies, business, and even his marriage was falling apart. He was a failure walking around in human form, but then the Second World War broke out and the tables were about to turn. He knew he had a talent, one that could change the whole scene of the war. He was ready to match wits with the brightest minds of the Third Reich. However, he needed help from either the British or the US because Spain, his home country, had decided to stay, relatively, neutral in the war. He contacted MI5 and US intelligence. Both declined his offer. They thought that a person who'd failed at farming chickens would be useless with military secrets during the war. They couldn't have been more wrong. Undeterred by the rejection, Garcia turned to the Germans and made them believe that he was a true sympathizer of the fascist government. The Germans then assigned him to London. Garcia didn't have the resources to go London, and he didn't even speak English. So what did he do? He went to Lisbon, Portugal. Garcia collected postcards of Big Ben and other famous London landmarks and sent them to Germany. He started sending made-up spy reports, with a little help from radio news and newspapers. Of course, he also complained about London's weather, since he was totally there. He was so convincing that Germany kept buying the stories. Garcia carefully studied the country where he'd never been and whose language he didn't speak, where he was supposedly spying and gathering information for the Nazis. He continuously listened to the news, read maps, travelogues, and newspapers, along with anything else he could get his hands on, which described London. He started with simpler things, such as reporting movements of troops. After gaining confidence, he took the game to a whole new level. He invented a spy ring. His network of spies included a British censor in the Ministry of Information, a cabinet office clerk, an American soldier in Britain, a Dutch airline stewardess, a Welshman sympathetic to fascism, and 22 more like these. All fake. Yet somehow, he was so convincing that the Germans provided funds and resources for everyone in his spy ring. Garcia was becoming immensely popular among Abwehr, so a British mole in the German Secret Service informed MI5 about this network of spies. The UK authorities nearly lost their minds. A ring of spies, working in the heart of England, and they had known nothing about them. This was the time when Garcia approached MI5 again. He told them everything. With astonished, amused, and impressed eyes, the British hired him. Now, the best minds of British intelligence backed him, and he had all the resources he could need. There was no stopping him at this point. He delivered seemingly impressive, dramatic, but actually useless spy reports. The information was either a little late, a little useless, or already known. But he and his ring of 27 agents were working day and night, and the Germans respected their efforts and courage. By June 1944, Garcia had become one of the greatest German assets in the UK, or so they thought. It was Garcia who saved thousands of soldiers who landed on D-Day. He sent detailed telegrams to Hitler himself that the Normandy invasion was just a deception and the reserve German panzer divisions must remain in Belgium. Those German tanks were already on the road to reach Normandy when orders came that they must stay where they were. Now, you would think that such telegrams must have revealed his true identity and motives, and the Germans must have hunted down and executed him. Nope. Instead, they awarded him with the Iron Cross for his valiant services to the Third Reich. This happened in July 1944, just a month after D-Day. Garcia managed to fool the Germans thanks to the deceptive measures taken by the Allied forces. What happened was that the British and US had supposedly deployed 11 divisions consisting of 150,000 men with tanks, the Air Force, and all the paraphernalia to the south of England. In reality, there weren't 11 divisions, there were barely 7. Many of those tanks were blow-up balloons. It was a bluff. Garcia reported that these special divisions would launch the decisive strike. So, Hitler's forces remained at their positions and D-Day became a huge Allied success. In November 1944, about 3 months after the war, he received the Order of the British Empire from the Queen. It's astonishing to consider someone could so convincingly lie and deceive a dictator as monstrous as Hitler, and live to tell the tale. He is also the only person in history to have received the highest civil military awards from both Germany and Britain. In 1945, he staged his death, went to Venezuela, and opened a bookshop. He lived a low-profile life for another 40 years. In 1984, on the 40-year celebration of D-Day, some veterans gathered on Omaha Beach, and there he was. A soldier grabbed him by the hand, and introduced to the crowd as the man who saved our lives. Aldrich Ames. Thanks to the media hype, Aldrich Ames became a household name in the US during the 1990s. Ames is one of the first people to break a polygraph, and he did it more than once. On top of that, he did it against perhaps the world's best intelligence agency. Ames was not a very promising agent when he was working in the CIA. Drinking problems, extramarital affairs, loud arguments at parties, and silly temperamental mistakes made it crystal clear that he was not going to be an espionage legend. Yet somehow, he became exactly that. Just for all the wrong reasons. In huge debt and newly divorced, Ames needed to get some cash. The embassy of the Soviet Union was willing to provide it. Fortunately for him, he was placed on the team assessing Soviet embassy officials as potential double agents. Instead of turning them into double agents, Ames became one himself. Over a period of time, Ames delivered critical information to the Russians for $4.6 million. He also disclosed at least 10 of the CIA's sources in the KGB. All of them were executed. Eventually, the CIA caught him. He blipped on their radar due to his lavish lifestyle, which was way beyond the reach of a person with a $60,000 salary. He was charged, convicted, and is spending the rest of his days in prison. Kim Philby of the Cambridge Five. Kim Philby was to MI6 what Aldrich Ames was to the CIA. Philby was the communists' biggest mole in the West, and the pivotal figure of the famous Cambridge Five, a ring of Soviet spies. The Cambridge Five was a group of, you guessed it, 5 spies who became communists during their student years at Cambridge University. All 5 members worked in the British Secret Services. 4 of those members have been located, while the 5th is still a mystery. However, one thing is certain, Philby was the central figure to everything within the group. Philby was hired for the Secret Service by Guy Burgess, a Soviet double agent himself and a member of the Cambridge Five. Unlike Aldrich Ames, Philby was a huge success. He was working wholeheartedly and doing a brilliant job for the British, but the whole time he was also transferring information and messages to the Soviets, both during World War II and during his missions in Austria, Spain, Turkey, the USA, Lebanon, and of course, the UK. For his sublime services, the government awarded him with the highest merit, the Order of the British Empire. It took 8 years of investigation to realize that Philby was indeed a double agent, yet still he could not be captured. He was serving on a mission in Lebanon, from where he fled to Moscow and resided there as a national hero for the rest of his life. He did not do all this for money, women, or anything like that. In fact, his first wife, the love of his life, left him because she thought he was sympathetic to tyrant blood-sucking capitalists, unaware of how loyal he was to the hammer and sickle. He did all this for something he believed in, communism. Perhaps it is a good thing that he died a year before the demise of his beloved socio-economic system. Otherwise, it would have broken his heart, making him realize that all of his sacrifices were in vain. Who of these masters impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.